Your local view on WYCU LDTV 26, serving Charlestown, New Hampshire, the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, and central Vermont.
Coming up tonight on YCU, new details on the sex slavery case in Ludlow, Vermont. A man dies while speaking at a Vermont town meeting. And Representative Susan Almy talks about reinstating the cigarette tax for New Hampshire. With more news, sports, and weather, stay tuned. It's time for YCU, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region and central Vermont. News, sports, weather, public affairs, and all that's happening in our area. The news on YCU, your local view.
Hi, Dave Carmichael here with you on YCU. We have new details about one of the men from Connecticut charged in a 13-year sex slavery case in Vermont. Frank Mayer was the West Haven volunteer fire captain and is now accused of sexually assaulting a 12-year-old boy thousands of times in Ludlow, Vermont. Mayer had multiple positions in Connecticut that granted him access to children. He was on the board of directors for the West Haven Community House, a nonprofit organization helping children with preschool and daycare, but officials say he was not interacting with the kids. He is also no longer running a program with Boy Scouts for kids interested in becoming firefighters. He is on administrative leave from his volunteer firefighter position. A Bellows Falls man died shortly after he collapsed last night during the Rockingham town meeting. John Fuchs, who was standing up to speak about the ongoing renovations to the town library, suffered seizure-like symptoms, dropped the microphone, and then fell back into his chair. Audience members quickly reacted and performed CPR on him for roughly 15 minutes as emergency crews arrived at the Bellows Falls Opera House. First responders used a defibrillator on Fuchs several times as he lay motionless in the aisle of the meeting room before they carried him out on a stretcher. He was then taken to Springfield Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Tuition for Dartmouth College for the upcoming academic year will top $60,000 for the first time, a 3.8% increase in tuition, room, board, and other fees for the upcoming school year makes Dartmouth the highest tuition in the Ivy League and the most expensive overall in student cost. Vermont Attorney General Bill Sorrell announced Monday that his office will host a public forum to evaluate Vermont law enforcement's use of taser guns. The public forum is on March 11th at 10 a.m. in the Pavilion Building in Montpelier. On June 20th, McAdam Mason of Thetford, Vermont, died after being tased in the chest by a Vermont State Police officer. In October, it was determined by the New Hampshire medical examiner that Mason died from a cardiac arrest from the electric shock. Vermont Yankee is getting an exemption from certain inspection rules from the Nuclear Regulatory Committee. The Rutland Herald reports that the NRC is granting permission to change the way inspectors test the reactor head for seal leaks during the upcoming refueling outage. Vermont Yankee spokespeople say that they are asking for this exemption because the code creates impractical hardships for inspectors without increasing the level of quality or safety. The reactor is currently operating at 91% as it prepares for its scheduled outage this spring. The New Hampshire Senate is scheduled Thursday to vote on a bill to reinstate a state minimum wage independent from the federal one. The proposed bill would set the minimum wage at the same level as the federal wage of $7.25. Tipped employees that regularly receive $30 or more in tips per month would still get at least 45% of that. A New Hampshire Senate committee is expected to vote today to support a bill that would legalize up to 5,000 video slot machines and 150 table games. The proposed bill would tax the video slot proceeds at 30% and the table games at 14%. It would require a $425 million investment. Former New Hampshire House Speaker Bill O'Brien says the state should not raise the gas tax to pay for needed highway repairs. Representative O'Brien sent an email yesterday to legislative colleagues. He says the necessary repairs could be paid for by no longer allocating money from the Highway Fund to the Department of Safety. After the break, meet Janet Redman, the Executive Director of the Hanover Chamber of Commerce.
The YCU News continues in a moment.